I'm going to click start, and you should now see that I've moved us to the next slide. This is a community check-in. I always start my synchronous classes, whether they're live or online, just with a little check-in. How are you doing today? And maybe like a community question or an icebreaker question. You should see you have a text box where you can be answering that question. So go ahead and answer that. Again, I'll show you at the end, but I have the opportunity as the teacher to see those responses in real time, and I can narrate those. So I can say things like, oh, Gina, I love The Office as well. I'm glad I'm seeing a lot of 4s, some Harry Potter, fantastic. Yep, 4 is the highest. Of course, you could do scale of 1 to 10. Noah, I also rewatched Parks and Rec during quarantine. I'm going to give everybody about 3 more seconds. 2, 1, and you'll notice now as the teacher, I've the power to lock your screens, so you probably cannot type anymore. And then I'll move us on to the next piece. So we learned these 2 terms, synchronous and asynchronous learning. You have a heart at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and drag and drop that heart to where you think you'll be doing the majority of your teaching this fall. So it could be asynchronous, synchronous, or somewhere in the middle. We'll just kind of look at the scale there. And I'll give you 3 more seconds. 2, 1. If you are teaching synchronously or online, which video conferencing tool do you think you'll be using?
One quick question that came up. Are you using the free version of Pear Deck?
I'm currently on the premium version, but I will explain the difference when we wrap up. Great question. All right, and then finally, no matter what Pear Deck session I'm doing, whether it's with students or whether it's with teachers, I always end with 1 minute of free creative expression. So you will now see you have a blank slide. You have drawing tools at the bottom. You can draw whatever you'd like, express yourself creatively, whatever comes to mind, and then we will be sharing these at the end. So just fair warning, I'm going to be sharing your drawings. And already I see lots of people have found color. Some people have found the thicknesses of their lines. Oh, somebody found the stamp tool. And using the eraser tool to make some graphic images. About 30 more seconds to explore the drawing tools. Very nice. Last 3, 2, 1. You are now locked. Go ahead and come back to the Google Meet in the chat box. Type for me when you are back so I can just see that we've got eyes on my screen. You should see a beautiful heart here. If you'd like to claim your drawing, feel free in the chat box. A lot of my students really like us to know who did what. It's like very important to them that we know that this was theirs. So feel free to do that. And once everybody's back with my students, again, if I'm in the classroom, I'll just project these responses onto the whiteboard at the front of the room. But if we are in a virtual environment, I'm just sharing my screen and then I can scroll through. Got a beautiful apple tree, elephant, a star. This is actually very good for 1 minute of drawing. Maybe a wizard's hat, Deb, another tree. We had something here at one point. The stamping tool there, lots to learn. Some smiley faces. A joke. But fun. I like that. Somebody's in Kansas. Yay, school. Don't get quite as many of those with students. So this is just a crash course into Pear Deck. I love it as a way to engage students. What you didn't see, or maybe you did if you're on Google Meet, is that if you are in the premium version of Pear Deck, and Pear Deck is one of the very few edtech tools that I would 100% pay for, even if I had to pay for it out of pocket, because the premium version allows you to have what's called the teacher dashboard. And from this teacher dashboard, you can view your students' responses in real time. So if I click back into our check-in question, I was watching you as you typed. I always do that narrating so that if I'm seeing some common misconceptions or mistakes, I can narrate those out loud and students can correct. Often it's, let's remember to capitalize at the start of the sentence, and then you'll see students backspacing. They're like, oh, capital, okay. But that's a great way to make sure that your students are actually there and engaging, even if you can't see their cameras. Here was the drag and drop tool. I currently have it set so that it's layered, so I could see all the students' responses as like a quick, what we call a temperature check. But you could also list it out and see students' individual responses. Here was our multiple choice question. If I hover over the response, I can see which students those were. So a great little formative assessment check. Maybe this is a group of students that I need to check in with later and have a conversation with. And then of course, there was that express yourself tool where I was able to watch you as you drew. So love, love, love Pear Deck. I have resources in my slide that take you to tutorials that go into a lot more depth and detail about how to sign up for Pear Deck, how to start using them in your presentations, and I highly recommend.